The following program on PBS 39 is made possible in part by...
For nearly 60 years, Arts United has worked to bring the rich, diverse talents of our region together through support of the arts, socially, culturally, and economically. Arts United, providing a home for the arts in Northeast Indiana.
Excellence lives here in Northeastern Indiana. It's reflected in more than 200 nationally recognized degrees. It drives our Division I sports. It's alive in our campus life. Excellence has a name, IPFW. Around our campus, around the country, around the world. Excellence lives here. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, two great names.
This is Arts Weekly. Arts Weekly is produced in cooperation with the College of Visual and Performing Arts at IPFW, offering degrees in fine arts, music, theater, and visual communication and design.
Welcome to Arts Weekly. I'm John O'Connell, Dean of the IPFW College of Visual and Performing Arts. Today we are featuring some wonderful local music and theater productions. In the second half of the show, I'll be joined by John Tolley and Gloria Minnich from Arena Dinner Theater. But first, Maestro Robert Nance from the Heartland Chamber Chorale is here to tell us all about their Community Holocaust Commemoration Concert taking place April 27th and 28th. Maestro Nance, welcome to Arts Weekly. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, John.
I think this is the first opportunity for us to visit on Arts Weekly.
I think it is.
And it's a privilege for me to have you.
And a pleasure here, too. Thanks.
Let's talk a little bit about your history with Fort Wayne and the music
I think I've become a staple. At least I hope so, because I've been here for 25 years.
What brought you here 25 years ago?
I was to be the music director over at First Presbyterian Church, and in fact your next guest, John Tolley, was one of the first staff people that I worked with when I came to Fort Wayne. And but it progressed. After about 10 years I left that. I'd started Heartland. It was then called Heartland Chamber Chorale. We've now simply just call ourselves Heartland at this point, but a lot of people know us as Heartland Chamber Chorale, and that's fine. It's the same group. But when we started in '97, it really was, the idea was to be the professional voice for choral and vocal music in Fort Wayne.
What does that mean? We have a professional philharmonic, we have a ballet that's now semi-professional. So do your singers get paid?
They do.
Are they commissioned singers?
No, they are. They get paid for every rehearsal and every performance.
That's terrific.
And it is terrific,
Yeah.
and I think that when I first came to Fort Wayne, there was always a dilemma at finding the right vocal professionals to perform. We had many professionals who were teaching and others in the area, but no professional focus like the Philharmonic. And in truth, Philharmonic was sort of a model for what we started to do in '97. That it makes perfect sense in any community that you have professional theater, professional opera, vocalists. You know, these are resources for teaching art, and you know, so if every community is complete with a philharmonic and a vocal ensemble or two, art, and as you well know, being a dean of an art school, you've got to have the full component to really be a community that's vibrant and reflective and just overall intelligence. Really
you'll hear the mayor say this all the time. The mayor always says that one of the best tools he has for selling Fort Wayne are the arts.
You bet. That
we have. I think people are surprised when they come to Fort Wayne with the size community we are, that we have a ballet, we have a choir, we have theater, we have the Philharmonic. Yeah,
it's appropriate that the community rallies around supporting professional musicians, because it not only makes the community more sellable, but it makes all of us better. I mean, you cannot import culture. We can't just invite people in and send them on their way. I mean, we do that sometimes.
But you serve a pretty wide area. You serve Northeast Indiana.
We do.
I mean, you really have a reputation that goes beyond Fort Wayne.
We're about 225 miles is our focus. The core of that being 75 miles, which we have a lot of activity in. And of course, I personally...
Is it 12-month?
It is all year long.
It's all year long.
All year long. In fact, we do have a little bit of video which we can share with you. It's kind of our summer focus tends to take us outdoors quite a bit with our big band, and there we have many good big bands and big bands that spout vocalists, one, you know, a soloist or two.
Right. Let's go to that video.
Yeah.
It's kind of a swing
It is.
concert.
Well, it is a full big band jazz ensemble, and you've got the vocals that go with it. It could be 4, 8, and maybe even 12, depending on the numbers that we're choosing. And the video you'll see here is from Roanoke.
Well, let's go to that video.
Swinging band and 100 fine ballet girls. A street that's paved with a natural pearl. Bring me a wagon load of bonds and stocks, and open up the door for cops and show me. Push me. Show me.
That's terrific. I love the outside picnic atmosphere that you've created there on the streets.
It's great fun,
Yeah.
and you know, big band music is made for large concert venues, but outdoors it lends itself very well.
Do you travel with this orchestra?
We do. We do. We maybe will feature it on one of our season concerts, but typically it'll be during the summer. We'll hit several venues in the region with that group. And
Well, there's a lot of festivals to celebrate.
Not
and to,
some, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this summer we'll be at Follinger Theater, and we hope to appear in areas like Syracuse and DeKalb County, and maybe down in the Bluffton area.
And as a musician, how did you get started?
Well, I mean, I got started playing the piano when I was very young, and it just happened, it was an accident, I think, because I wanted to play the same thing that my sister was playing at the piano. So my mother tells a story about how she thought my sister played particularly well, and she went to tell her, what a good job you did, and it was actually me playing everything that she had to practice by ear. So that sort of set the path, and I think what brought me to Indiana was my connection to Interlochen National Music Camp up north in Michigan. And I got a scholarship, full scholarship to DePaul University, went from there to Peabody, and back to my stomping grounds out in Virginia, and then back here again for the job at First Presbyterian Church.
And you've been here ever since?
I've been here ever since. Longest time I've lived anywhere. It's been here.
We're lucky.
Well,
we're lucky to have you.
I feel I'm lucky.
You have a very strong reputation in town. I arrived 7 years ago, and you're one of the first names I heard about.
Oh, great! Thanks.
As an important contributor to the arts in Fort Wayne.
Yeah, well, I love it here, and I think this town deserves that kind of attention.
Did Heartland, and maybe this is just my misunderstanding, did Heartland have an original connection to a religious organization?
No.
No, it's always been a professional choir.
Right. I've had the connection to various religious institutions, first Presbyterian Church and now Plymouth Congregational Church and Temple Octave Shalom. Those two institutions were back-to-back in downtown Fort Wayne, so they had always shared a musician, and when I took over as music director at Plymouth, I also inherited the job at the Temple, and it's been a great association.
Well, that's a good segue into sort of
is.
what we're here to talk about, which is your commemoration concerts coming up at the end of April.
Heartland does, largely because my priorities become theirs, of course.
It's nice to be boss,
Well, it is nice to be boss, but I think that I do have a board of directors and singers that I have to bring along with that. So
yeah, but you're the artistic director,
well,
and your board expects you, and you have a good reputation.
Well, I put some ideas out on the table,
Absolutely.
and as long as I've got their support, we do them.
Right.
But this was important as a community outreach. It started that way, and you know, there are holocausts going on all around us, and the fact that we have an opportunity to remember a specific one, the great horrors of the Second World War and Hitler's regime, that needs to be recalled, because you become sensitive to when that's happening even today. I think of what's happening in Africa as a continent. I look
Rwanda.
at Rwanda, exactly. So, you know, and they can happen in smaller scales even in our own town. Just look at the most recent salient event in Kansas City.
Right.
Okay, so we have things like that to be sensitive to, and the music itself gives us an opportunity to not only experience what it was like with the principal work we're doing is the Holocaust Cantata by Don McCullough, which was written in 2000. We premiered it here in Fort Wayne as a result of this relationship. And this work now in our 12th season, at least presenting portions of that. Now we'll do the full work on Sunday the 27th. This work actually helps you understand what it was like to be in the concentration camps and how people mitigated the horrors just through music and writing and maybe drinking, because there is a section in there where there's a witness to that where they had to smuggle in booze, and there's a little tango between the cellist and the pianist that's played because there was dancing that was all done on the dark of night. It's an incredible story.
That's some intense research
They did. They
as
did
a resource to this material.
Don was in Washington, D.C., where, of course, they have the probably largest institution dedicated to the Holocaust, the museum there. And they have a large repository of music and letters, and that was sorted through and created this work. So we do this work to begin the program, and it also features a piece that the Jewish Federation in Fort Wayne commissioned me to write. And so those two pieces get us in the right tone, and we segue out of that into more of an air of hope, kind of mitigating, again, what it might feel like. An audience might feel rather depressed after hearing some of these horrible stories. And we move them out of that with a series of selections that will draw you out of it.
Because as the maestro and the artistic director, you want to create an evening that has an arc for the audience, has a journey for the audience to go through. And so ending on that idea of hope is a wonderful thing for the audience. Now, so you've never done the whole piece before. This is the first time you'll be doing
No,
the
that's
whole
not
piece.
true. We did 12 years ago.
Oh, you did?
We did
Okay.
the entire work, and we did that several years
When it was
running.
first commissioned.
Right
or first,
after, right,
first
when we
premiered
first,
here.
right, when we first started doing this collaboration with the Federation. And then as we moved in, they started moving towards wanting to emphasize the community celebration, or commemoration, which happens the next day. So Yom HaShoah actually covers the 27th and the 28th, and the 28th is the community service at the temple. So we decided to do our concert so we could do a larger artistic opportunity and then segue into the event the next day, which is how it's been. So for several years running, we only did the community service and not the complete performance.
Well, how can our viewers get some information on this particular concert before we move on to some of the other things you do?
Sure. You can actually go to our website, Heartland Chorale, that's CHORALE.org. And you can buy tickets there, and you can learn more about the performance. You can even get tickets at the door on Sunday afternoon. The concert's at 4 o'clock. You can also call area code 260-436-8080, and we can help you with anything you need.
And that's Sunday the 27th at 4 p.m.
Correct.
And Monday, April 28th at 7 p.m.
Right. The Monday event is a free community event. It starts off with a small service of worship, and it moves into a community commemoration, which features the mayor and the bishop of the Fort Wayne Diocese will be there as well.
Okay. We only have a minute or so left. What is up on the horizon for you in the summertime?
Well, we've got all of our summer outreach concerts. We're going to be premiering, I would say premiering for the second time, an oratorio by an Indiana-based composer, Howard Terrell. We'll have a group doing that during Three Rivers Festival at Plymouth Congregational Church, and we have a small ensemble that'll be a small jazz quintet that'll be premiering some new, sort of Manhattan transfer.
So we should
music.
revisit your website
every day.
Every day
new,
something
right.
happened. Well,
Twitter, we're all over the place.
Robert, it's great to have you on.
It's
I
great.
appreciate you joining
Thanks
me
for
on
having
Arts
me.
Weekly. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
While we get ready for our next segment, please take this opportunity to view our performance calendar of what's coming up in our area. I'll be joined by John Tolley and Gloria Minnich from Arena Dinner Theater to talk about Blithe Spirit. We'll be right back. Opening at Arena Dinner Theater May 2nd, Blithe Spirit is a much revered classic by Noel Coward. This comedy offers up a fussy, cantankerous novelist recently remarried but haunted, literally, by the ghost of his late wife, Elvira. As personalities clash, Charles' current wife, Ruth, is accidentally killed, passes over to join Elvira, and the two Blithe spirits haunt the hapless Charles into eternity. Joining me now are John Tolley and Gloria Minnich. Welcome to Arts Weekly. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Mr. Tolley, I feel like, I don't know, royalty has joined the table, right, Gloria?
Yeah.
John Tolley, the famed director of Fort Wayne. We're so lucky to have you back in Fort Wayne.
Thank you. It's always a treat. And now with this production, I will have directed in all three of the Fort Wayne downtown theaters.
I've yet to do that. I've only gotten two, and they're all great spaces for their own right, aren't they?
They really are.
They're all 3 or 4 spaces are just completely different for a director and an actor, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. And the new space, the Hour space at the Civic, is stunning.
Yeah, that black box.
We saw there. Fort Wayne is blessed with its spaces.
So, John, tell us a little bit. You don't live in Fort Wayne right now.
No. My partner Richard and I are semi-retired and spend our summers in Crawfordsville, just south of Lafayette here in Indiana on a little lake, and our winters in Fort Lauderdale. Nice. So I left Fort Lauderdale to come to Fort Wayne.
Chilly Fort Wayne.
And it does make a difference.
It does make a difference. Yes, certainly it does, especially after the winter we've had.
But it's been absolutely worth it. We're having a really good time. And
well, you come back about 2 or 3 times. Well, maybe not 2 or 3 times, but a couple times a year I've seen you back directing for the Civic.
We're back mostly because our best friends and family members are here.
Yeah.
I direct about once a year.
Okay. You were in Fort Wayne for how long? 16
years. I came in '74 and left in '90.
And you came
as Bob Nance was arriving.
Just as my previous guest, Bob. The two of you just passed ships in the night. Why did you come to Fort Wayne originally?
First Presbyterian hired me right out of seminary to be the second full-time director for the theater. Denny Bechtelheimer had been there for 2 years, and then I was brought on and was there 16 amazing years.
Well, I have to admit that the First Presbyterian Theater is actually my favorite space to work in as a director.
Beautiful space.
I just, it's intimate, yet it's wide enough that you can have some movement on it as a director. You can create some space in it, and it's yet nobody has to project too hard. The actors can really have some intimate work.
Right.
I just love that space.
That's a James Hull Miller design, who was a 20th century educational theater architect.
Because it's been there a long time.
It's been there since '62, I believe.
Right.
The performances started in '62, '63, and then a full season, the first full season was in '68.
And Gloria, you've been an actress in town. You've been here how long in Fort Wayne?
Well, I was born here
and
grew up
raised here.
Yes.
Okay, terrific.
So, went through IPFW and did shows there and graduated and have been doing community theater and local theater and around Indiana ever since. So,
directors are always lucky to get Gloria on their cast. I know.
Her name was given to me, and I was told that I wouldn't be disappointed, and I'm not.
Not at all. She's always superb in everything that she does, especially if you hand her a comedy.
Well, you will enjoy her.
This young actress can do some comedy.
You will enjoy her in this. It's broad, physical comedy, and you're handling it really well.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Blithe Spirit. It is one of my favorite plays, so I just put it right out there that I was really jealous when I saw that it was on the list, and I wasn't directing it because it's been on my to-do list, so I'll wait a few years. But it is one of Coward's best plays, I think.
It is. It really
I really
is.
think I think it's perhaps more accessible to a contemporary audience than a few of his other plays.
I would agree. I really would agree. Part of it, I was lucky because Stratford, Ontario did it last summer. And a bunch of us went up, and I got to see it. And I knew it more as literature. The only time I'd seen it was probably 30-plus years ago when Dick Casey directed it at Civic, and Madge Martin played Madame Arcady. So it was nice to have that performance aspect of it enhanced for me with that performance this summer. And it is all that it is. What I didn't appreciate at the time was that this this was written at a time in English, well, right at the outbreak of World War II, and so many Brits had lost loved ones and family members in the First World War, and they were beginning to go through the Blitz of the Second World War, and there was this obsession about death and about people that had passed over. And so this whole, the idea of the occult was a social phenomenon that the genius of Coward then picked up on.
Let's back up a hair for our viewers to let them understand a little bit what we're talking about, because in the play, the lead character invites what would you call a medium, right? A medium over Madame Arcadi to sort of bring back the spirits and to sort of do something for the home, and accidentally brings the spirit back.
Well, truthfully, what Charles, the author, wants is just to see this woman at work, to, as he says, pick up a few tricks, because he's sure she's a fraud.
Oh, okay.
Well, and it's
for a novel, perhaps. He's
for the
yeah,
novel,
that's right.
a novel that he's beginning to write,
right.
And as we learned, she isn't.
Right, she isn't, because Pop.
It all
in walks an ex-dead wife.
Right.
Yeah, and craziness, zaniness ensues.
That's true.
Yeah, I'd have to say of the Noel Coward plays that I know, this certainly is more farcical.
It is.
Some of his comedy of manners is a different style than this moves into farce a little bit more, because
really
you've
does.
got a set that has to break apart in certain things, correct? Is that right,
Yes.
Gloria? And you're responsible for viewing some of these things or experiencing that.
And I'm the maid, so I'm in and out. So I have the perspective of, I know what's going on behind closed doors with, being the underclass, and she's brand new at her job, so she's not very good. But last
she's
night,
brand new to these people.
Brand new to these people,
right.
Yeah. And last night we were looking at the set that's currently being built, and looking at all the contraptions that are going to happen, and we're going to be maneuvering them backstage, because a lot has to happen, and we need a lot of bodies to make that happen. Yeah, but it'll be great.
I know. It's always been one of the things that's, as I said, I've wanted to direct it, but I've been scared off by all the machinations, if you will, of the set. This has to fall, that has to open, this has to break. Those are hard to maneuver sometimes. So.
Well, we're lucky that Dave Thompson, who is the set designer and construction there, is intrigued by this, and he's having a ball figuring out how to make things fly through the air
wonderful.
And things fall off the wall. So that enthusiasm is really appreciated.
There'll be actors being on stage who are running off stage to also be pulling things.
Yeah,
right,
that's
exactly.
true.
What fun for an actor.
Yeah, it is great.
Am I the actress, or am I now backstage?
Right,
Yeah, that's
right.
terrific.
Sound effects and everything.
Yeah, that's great. How long have you been in rehearsal, John?
We start, a little over 2 weeks. This is a very tight rehearsal schedule for us. Just a little over a month. Yeah. And so we're rehearsing, every day now.
Yeah,
so.
Let's do some name dropping. We've got Gloria Minnich is playing the maid.
Yes,
I'm sure she's incredible. And you have, is she a Cockney maid?
She is,
of
yeah.
course
It's my
she is.
first
She's
Cockney role, actually.
Is it really?
Yeah. So that's been fun. And I have to sing in a Cockney voice, which I haven't quite mastered
That's
yet.
a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, but I'll get there.
Yeah.
Gloria's role was described as small but pivotal.
Right.
The plot does turn on this character. It's a lot of fun. Bob Alsmeyer is playing Charles Condamine, just a treat.
Is he not terrific?
I worked with him in the Farnsworth Invention.
Which, by the way, I just have to say was one of the best things in theater in Fort Wayne in about 10 years.
Terrific
That was an incredible production.
Thank you.
Bob did Full Monty for me. It was the first time I worked with Bob.
Yeah.
He was fantastic.
He is fantastic.
He's a real, and you need Charles to be the center of the story. He's the straight man. He doesn't get many of the jokes, but everybody around him, he has to spin around his immobility, if I'm correct.
It takes an actor with his chops, to really
hold on to
that role. Yeah. And Stephanie Vanderwall, who worked with me in the Laramie Project, is playing Ruth, the current wife.
Right.
Molly McRae is Elvira.
I'm proud to say that Stephanie's an IPFW graduate.
That's right.
Just like Gloria. So
you guys are doing good work.
I gotta get that promo in there.
Please do.
That's right.
Molly McRae is Elvira, the first wife, the ghost. Marcia Wallace is Madame Arcadi, overblown and wonderful.
Huge, great character.
And the Bradmans, who are the doctor and his wife, who our supporting roles are Deborah Dombra and Ken Lowe, both of whom were also in the Farnsworth Invention. So.
Great. See, when you work with John Tolley, you want to work with him again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Let's keep that happening. let's keep that myth going out there.
Well, you know, as a director, once you find people that you want to work, you know, Bob was one of those people.
Oh,
when I get a
yeah.
chance, he did. I asked him to do All My Sons at IPFW with me after I worked with him in Full Monty. You know, as a director, you really want to get people in your rehearsal hall who you can really rely on to have the chops and will be dedicated and bring the kind of spirit you want. So that cast is a terrific cast.
It is a terrific cast. And you know, I came back, this is probably 5 years ago now, to direct August Wilson's The Piano Lesson for Civic Theater. And I was sure that, you know, I had other scripts in my back pocket because I didn't think we could get it cast. I could have cast that show twice with the talent that showed up.
That's terrific.
And the number of people that have come out since I've been gone. I mean, there's an amazing amount of talent in this city.
How do we get tickets to Blithe Spirit?
Okay, Arena has a website, arenadinnertheater.org, and it's theater with an R-E, or you can call 424-5622.
Great. Well, I look forward to it. It's one of my favorite plays. Thank you both for joining me on Arts Weekly. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you for having
John,
us.
great to have you back in Fort Wayne.
It's always good to be here.
I look forward to a drink late night after rehearsal.
Okay.
All right. I'm John O'Connell, Dean of the IPFW College of Visual and Performing Arts. Tune in to the next Arts Weekly when we'll meet Benjamin Rivera, director of the Fort Wayne Philharmonic Chorus, discussing their May 10th performance of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Then Rod King from the Fort Wayne Community Band shares details about their May 6th concert. For up-to-the-minute arts updates, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And be sure to join us here live Thursday evenings at 7:30 on PBS 39. Thanks for watching Arts Weekly.
The preceding program on PBS 39 was made possible in part by
Excellence lives here in northeastern Indiana. It's reflected in more than 200 nationally recognized degrees. It drives our Division I sports. It's alive in our campus life. Excellence has a name, IPFW. Around our campus, around the country, around the world. Excellence lives here. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, two great names.
For nearly 60 years, Arts United has worked to bring the rich, diverse talents of our region together through support of the arts, socially, culturally, and economically. Arts United, providing a home for the arts in Northeast Indiana.